Hey everybody, so today's episode's going to be a little different because I don't have access to all the stuff I normally use for editing. So today's probably going to just be me talking for the whole episode. The next episode will be more like my usual episodes, but today, because I don't have my editing equipment with me at this time, I am going to be just talking for the most part about stuff and all that in today's topic. And we actually have a couple reviews to go over for today, so I'm pretty excited about that. Thank you all who have left us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, on Podchaser, and on Spotify. Thank you all so much for that. It helps out so much. So, I have a couple. So, over on Apple Podcast, Purple Riolu left us this review titled Awesome Show. It's a 5-star review. I love it. Thank you so much, Purple Riolu. So, again, the review's titled Awesome Show. If you want to listen to a family-friendly show all about Nintendo with top 5 and 10 lists based on various topics, this is the show for you. So yes, I do tend to do top 5s and 10s because those tend to be the easiest to plan out for episode-wise versus other episodes where just favorites I usually do if it's too hard for me to make a top 5 or a top 10 list. And then I usually do top 10s, for instance, with the Zelda songs because there's so many different ones I enjoy. And then also with Mario Kart Racetracks, which was the Season 1 finale, I did top 10 because, again, that was also a topic that it was extremely hard for me to come up with a top 5 for. So, anyway, also, quickly, if you guys noticed the new logo for the podcast, that was actually designed over by Maddie, who's been a guest on the podcast before. She also goes by Purple Riolu, so over on Discord and most of the other social stuff I am on with her. But anyway, she's Purple Riolu. Pretty sure it's Purple Riolu. It's the same Purple Riolu who left a review. But anyway, Madison, who's been a guest on the show multiple times, she's the one who actually designed our new logo, so just thought I'd give a little shout out to her. I really like it. I thought the older one was kind of a little too basic, and I feel like this one's nicer, and also this one's more got that signature look to it more for the podcast, which I really like. So anyway, thank you again, Purple Riolu, for leaving a review over on Apple Podcasts. And next, we have Lazara over on Podchaser, who left a review, 5-star review again. Thank you so much, Lazara, saying, Gamer Girl Podcast always has interesting episodes about all things Nintendo. I love how she has guests for many of her episodes. Her top tier lists are always interesting to listen to. I love listening to her opinions and hearing reasons why items had made it to her top 5 list. I'm excited to see what Elizabeth has in store as she grows her podcast. Again, thank you, Lazara, for that 5-star review on Podchaser. So, next I have actually over on Discord now, I have a reply to, if you listen to the last episode, which was my top 5 Animal Crossing furniture sets, I answered a question, Andross's question about an additional fighter pass, and he actually left a reply to that on Discord to the episode saying, I really enjoyed the answer to my question on the show. Waluigi for Smash with 4 exclamation marks. Sceptile was also a great pick, although they do have Lucario from Gen 3 in already. But a grass starter for sure needs to be added. I guess Ivysaur is sort of there, but not its own thing. and I would be super hyped for Tails. Just a great list overall. Thank you again to Andros for suggesting that question over on our Discord, which there is a link to join the Discord in the description below. You can leave questions over on it for me to answer in future episodes of the podcast. And it also gives me stuff to talk about at the beginning instead of, some maybe you would rather me go straight into it, but I feel like answering questions gets the community involved in it more at the beginning. So anyway, thank you again to Andros over on Discord for asking that question and for leaving a reply to me replying to his question on the last podcast episode. So without further ado, that was those were 5-star reviews over on Apple Podcast, Podchaser, and also a question on Discord. Speaking of which, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Podchaser. Again, I know I've said this multiple times, but it helps out the podcast a ton, and it also helps other people it makes it easier for other people to discover the podcast. So, thank you all. Also, if you're listening on YouTube, feel free to subscribe, or even if you aren't listening on YouTube, just head over and feel free to leave a subscribe. Hopefully during, I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, so this coming summer, because I'll be on break, hopefully this coming summer, I'm going to start posting more little side video snippets and things over on the YouTube channel. It's not set in stone or anything yet, but feel free to go leave a subscribe over on YouTube. And without further ado, I'm going to get into today's topic. And if you've read the title for today, you'll know it's the top 5 hardest shrine quests from Breath of the Wild. So, I'm sure a couple of these, some people would definitely agree with me on. Also, another thing that's great about joining our Discord, link in the description, is that you can it's also a great way for you to tell me what you think of the episodes, and that's also something you can do on YouTube by leaving a comment over on YouTube. So anyway, starting at my number 5, we have the Shrouded Shrine, which I found this one pretty difficult because it's pitch black, and I am very scared of the dark. So, I very much did not enjoy doing the Shrouded Shrine, which I don't know if I mentioned it before on this podcast, which is another great reason for me to be doing this episode, is because I recently completed all 120 shrines in Breath of the Wild in normal mode. I'm currently working on master mode in another profile, but I figured I should probably try to complete all the shrines in normal mode before I go into master mode, because it'll be harder in master mode. But I'll also let you know, you guys all know, whenever I complete Breath of the Wild in master mode, not 100% complete, but just the basic story mode completion, I'll let you guys know. So anyway, I recently did 120 shrines, so great reason to do this. So anyway, number 5, the shrine quest is known as the Shrouded Shrine. This one is for the Kitawawai Shrine. I'm probably gonna butcher all of these shrine names, so if you have the correct pronunciations, feel free to let me know. So anyway, the Shrouded Shrine, I really hated it, and, well, not hated it, but thought it was very difficult because you do it in the pitch black and just complete in total darkness. So, and then one of the orbs you have to get is on a Hinox. So that also adds to the difficulty, the orb that you get to complete the shrine, and will reveal it. So I found that very difficult. And there are various torch stands, lanterns you can light up because it does provide you with a torch and you can light it up that way. Also, bombs help light up the area, so that's definitely nice. But, so anyway, I very much enjoy it. Well, not enjoy, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. But I very much thought this shrine was difficult. And if you thought this one was hard, you're probably wondering, what could be harder than this one then? Well, let me tell you. My number 5 was just now the Shrouded Shrine. Well, my number 4 is the Silent Swordswoman. So I found this one very challenging because it's in the middle of a sandstorm, and the only thing you have to direct you towards the shrine is these various statues of swordswomen. It's Gerudo. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be Gerudo because this is in the Gerudo Wasteland. And actually, this shrine quest is assigned to you by a Gerudo guard who's looking at one of the statues right before. I think there's a couple statues before you go into the sandstorm, but the very first statue that'll set you on your path, she's looking at it and it's like, oh, there's this story that if you go do this, then you'll find this shrine. And the reason I found this so challenging is because if you veer off the path, if you slightly veer off, you should be able to still find your way. But if you veer off, you're pretty much trapped. And the big problem of sandstorms is your map gets all fuzzy, so you can't teleport anywhere. So if you get stuck, you get stuck, and it's probably going to take you a while to find your way out. And you might reach a mountain, and then you climb the mountainside, or hopefully you can find your way out. But also the fact that it's on sand, it makes it even more annoying because it can take much longer if you don't have the sand boots to traverse the sand. So this one can get a little frustrating if you get lost, but fortunately for me, when I did the shrine quest for the first time, I didn't veer off the path at all, so I was able to find it pretty easily. So that was the Silent Swordswoman Shrine quest, which goes with the Kima Zeus. I think I'm saying that right. But anyway, that shrine. So that was my number 4, and my number 3 is the Gut Check Challenge, which is the Gore Tor Shrine, which is up in the Elden region. I found this one pretty difficult because it's a timed race. Granted, there are a couple other ones that are timed races that I don't even have in my honorable mentions, but I found this one hard because it's climbing, and personally, I find the climbing mechanic more difficult than a normal race for a shrine quest. And then you have to know where all the rupees are, because if you take the wrong path and you don't get enough rupees, then you have to start all over. So this one was more a frustration side to it being the hardest shrine than it actually being hard. It was pretty hard, but it was definitely, I think I got it first try, but it was also because I have the book for Breath of the Wild, so I was able to know exactly where to go, but I can imagine if you didn't know which rupee path was the easiest to take, that would be difficult. Also, it changes into a mini game once you get the shrine, which is like super gut check challenge, something like that, ultra super, one of those words. So normally this is where I would hit the brake, but like I said before, since I don't have access to my current editing equipment, I'm just gonna go straight into the second half, what would be the second half. Again, the next episode, I'll have all my editing equipment back and I'll be able to figure it out. I still have my mic because I was able to hold on to it, but I currently do not have the editing equipment, which is kind of confusing. But anyway, my number 2 is Stranded on Eventide, which is the Korgu Chide Shrine. So I'm sure this one you were kind of expecting to see on it, because the difficult part of it is it strips you of all of your weapons, items, bows, shields, clothing, food, recipes that you've made, and you basically have nothing. If you have the champion abilities, you have that, and you also have your ruins, but that's it. And technically, you could do this without hurting fighting any monsters, but the hardest part is that you don't have anything, and one of the orbs that you have to get, so you have to get 3 orbs and take them to all different places, is that there's a Hinox, and the Hinox can be extremely hard to fight if you don't have any resources or any weapons or clothing or any of that. I actually sneakily glided down onto its belly, got the orb, and I just sprinted out of there as fast as I could while holding a giant orb over Link's head, I guess. So yeah, that one stressed me out the first time I did it. And then also I kept coming back later because I got better at the game. Like, I'd come back with more stamina vessels or more heart containers or any sort of that to help me out. So, my number 1, probably, which in my opinion it is the hardest shrine quest, but probably just the hardest shrine altogether, is Watch Out for the Flowers, which is the Hilo Rao Shrine. And this one, I'm sure a lot of you can agree with me that this one is probably one of the, if not the hardest shrine quest, because you have to avoid the flowers. And there have been memes of calling the lady who you have to not step on her flowers for, Flower Blight Ganon, because of how serious it gets. The first time I did this shrine quest, I barely touched a flower. Barely touched a flower. And I got in trouble and had to start over, and I about lost it. And then I finished the shrine, and I was like, you know what? And then I decided to blow up all the flowers. So Magda is the one who's very protective of her flowers. This one, I'm pretty sure, I'm double checking it, but it does have an inside to it. It's the one where you have to use Cryonis to stop these different things. But I barely touched a flower, and Magda was like, oh my gosh, get off my flowers. And then if you step on them enough times, she just full out tries to kill you. So, yeah, I got to the shrine, tapped on it, clicked on it, got the teleport, and then I decided to Rivali's Gale and blow up all the flowers. And use fire arrows and bomb arrows on them because of how frustrated I was. So, my top 5 list is number 5, Shrouded Shrine, number 4, the Silent Swordswoman, number 3, the Gut Check Challenge, number 2, Stranded on Eventide, and number 1, Watch Out for the Flowers. So, yeah. Next, we have honorable mentions, which I have 5 honorable mentions. I almost did a top 10 instead, but I decided not to because then I wouldn't have any honorable mentions to go over. So, anyway, my first honorable mention I have is Cliffside Etchings, which is the Yiha-Yug Shrine. This one's in the Gerudo Highlands? I think, yeah, it's in the northern part of the Gerudo Highlands. At the, oh my goodness, I'm blanking, Tabitha Ridge Stable. I'm pretty sure it's the one that's right by the big valley. but there's this guy looking at it. And the reason this shrine was hard for me was because I shot it with an electric arrow multiple times. I shot the pedestal, and it wouldn't activate for some reason. I think the game was glitching out. Thankfully, when I came back to it later, it worked. But the reason I found this one so hard and just honestly frustrating was because it wasn't sensing that I was attacking it with the electric arrow. Because how you have to do it is you have to strike it with an electric weapon of some sort. So I found it very frustrating. The next honorable mention I have is quote unquote a set of 3. But I thought these ones would be good honorable mentions because it can sometimes be a little frustrating to figure out how to do the shrine. So first is the Spring of Power, which is the Tutsu Anima, which with that one you have to get one of Din's scales. And if you don't know where to find any of the dragons, all of the spring shrines can be challenging. Well, except for Spring of Wisdom, which I'll get to next. But the Spring of Power, you have to get one of Din's scales. It might be any of Din's drops. You could also maybe do a horn, but I know for a fact that you can do a scale. So that one, the actual hard part is getting this. You reach the shrine, get the shrine quest, then you have to go all the way to wherever you're gonna get Din and the thing for that, and then you have to travel all the way back to the shrine, to where the shrine was, and do that. So, and you don't get a teleport at all because you haven't done the shrine yet. So that's fun. The next is the Spring of Wisdom, which is the Jitan Sami shrine, which this one isn't as hard because Nehru, the water dragon that you have to get, is right there where and you have to free it. So it's not as hard getting a scale from it. So you just have to remember though to shoot it and get a scale from it before it runs away and goes to its other spawns. So yeah. And then the third one is the Serpent's Jaw, which is technically the Spring of Courage shrine quest, but the actual shrine quest name is the Serpent's Jaw, which is the Sheikatha. Which this one you have to get one of Farosh. It's Farosh. One of Farosh's scales, and it's the same with. And this one's actually harder than the Spring of Power, in my opinion. Spring of Wisdom is too, because you actually have to free the dragon. Spring of Power, you just have to make sure you get the scale and then bring it back. But the Serpent's Jaw, it's actually surrounded by a bunch of Lizalfo who have electric arrows. And then also a bunch of moblins. I don't think there's any bokoblins, but I know there's a bunch of moblins. And a lot of Lizalfo. And like I said, pretty much all of them have bows with electric arrows. So it's harder if you don't have Majora's Mask, for example, or just even like the Lizalfo mask is nice for it, or Moblin mask too. But so yeah, you have to go through that, get the shrine quest, go find Farosh, get a scale, and then come back. So that's fun. And then my last honorable mention is a Brother's Roast, which this one was frustrating because you have to bring the rock roast up this huge hill, which it's actually preparing you for the shrine itself, like the puzzle inside of it. So that's kind of nice. But honestly, I found this one pretty frustrating because of how the rock roast will just roll all the way back down to the bottom of the hill if you don't get it. And then also there's a bunch of enemies trying to stop you, so having Majora's Mask for this one's also really nice. Because then the bad guys won't attack you. So, anyway, that was my top 5 hardest shrine quests in Breath of the Wild, and also 5 honorable mentions I had. So again, feel free to feel free to, but it's greatly appreciated when you leave a 5-star review over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Podchaser. And then also on Podchaser and Apple Podcasts, if you actually leave a written review, it helps me know what you're enjoying about the podcast. And also, feel free to go join the Discord, link in the description. And also, feel free to leave me an email at the Gamer Girl Podcast. Also, I haven't been saying this over the past couple episodes, but feel free to leave an audio message over on Anchor, because those are cool because you can actually somewhat be a part of the episode in a way, because you actually read your own review, and it's cool. It's nice. So, anyway, see you all in the next episode. Bye!